Hello everybody, it's Nancy News here, and today we have lots of breaking dates today. So the first news coming today is coming from Russia. So first, let's just talk about Tucker Carlson. So in the previous video, we talked about how Tucker Carlson and an American journalist arrived in Moscow for the second time. So Tucker Carlson has allegedly done an interview with the Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov. So apparently this interview will be made public this Friday, so obviously American time. So I'll keep you updated and we'll go over the key statements when this interview becomes public. We've also gotten some key statements by the Russian President Vladimir Putin at the Russia Calling Investment Forum. So Vladimir Putin hosted an investment forum, which will be going over the key statements that the Russian president made. So the first statement was, those who wanted to inflict a strategic defeat on Russia, including the economy, failed. In 2022, a number of countries showed themselves to be unreliable partners, destroying trade relations with the Russian Federation. Investments in Russia have been growing for the third year in a row, despite all the problems that they, the West, have tried to create for us. Russia invites investors from friendly countries to the stock market. By the end of the decade, the capitalism of the stock market in Russia will more or less double. Russia's GDP grew by 4.1% in January to October. Growth is concentrated in high value added sectors. The level of digitalization of the financial sector in Russia exceeds the global level. Russia seeks to strengthen economic sovereignty and technological leadership. Russia ranks among leaders in quality of business climate. So, very big news coming from his political forum there. And now let's head to Russia and North Korea. So we've gotten some huge news come today that the strategic partnership agreement between North Korea and the Russian Federation has just entered into force. Now the allied relations with North Korea have entered in an official mode operation. So we talked a lot about in previous weeks or months that Russia and North Korea signed a treaty of ratification of support with each other. Now this treaty has just came into effect, so the treaty is now being forced. So the treaty is now online and running. So we'll keep an eye on about the North Korean and Russian maybe shipments that may start coming in now. Now this ratification and treaty is now online, but I'll keep you updated on that. Now let's head to Ukraine. We got some news coming from Ukraine that the Lithuanian foreign minister stated that peace in Ukraine requires security guarantees. The cheapest way is NATO's Article 5. He added the war will only be settled on the battlefield. It's an illusion to say we can't supply Ukraine with what it needs. We got some news coming from the German news agency Deutsche Welle. So it states that Ukraine's NATO membership stalled amid a lack of conscience. NATO foreign ministers' meetings in Brussels failed to agree inviting Ukraine to join the alliance of NATO. Countries including Luxembourg, Germany, Turkey, Slovakia, Hungary, and the United States opposed Ukraine's membership, citing the ongoing war with Russia as a barrier. Some nations are holding back their decisions and awaiting the stances of the incoming Trump's administration in the United States. While on the topic of the United States, the House Speaker Mike Johnson has just refused to approve $24 billion for Ukraine. Last week, the Biden administration requested an additional funds for Ukraine, and it has failed. So Mike Johnson, the House Speaker, has just refused $24 billion in an aid package for Ukraine. We've got some statements coming from the US Secretary of State Antony Blinken. He stated that Ukraine must approve difficult decisions regarding mobilization. According to him, this is critically important. even with money and ammunition, there must be people at the front. So the USA has recently called Ukraine to lower the mobilization age to 18 years old. I think at the current age right now, don't quote me on this, I think it's like 25 or something, mobilization age in Ukraine. Now Anthony Blinken wants Ukraine to reduce this to 18 years old. We've also got news that the US Secretary of State Anthony Blinken also announced that $50 billion deprived from Russian frozen assets will be allocated to Ukraine. He emphasized that these funds, along with additional support from Europe, will be dispersed in the coming weeks, ensuring Ukraine's continual support through the next year. So, the US Secretary of State announces $50 billion, but obviously this is from frozen Russian assets, and we can expect European nations will be delivering even more. We've also gotten some videos coming from the city of Mariupol, so this is in the control of the Russians. So we've gotten this video here in your bottom left corner showing the restoration of apartment buildings in Mariupol is ongoing. So reconstruction of the city continues, and as always, I promise to keep you updated on the reconstruction of Mariupol. Let's now head to Ukraine. The foreign minister of Hungary stated that NATO countries want Ukraine to fight until the last young soldier, stated the foreign minister of Hungary. He said that what is surprising and extremely dangerous is that NATO leaders insist on lowering the draft age in Ukraine instead of lowering the draft age, supplying weapons and providing training. We should be taking about peace, a ceasefire and peace negotiations, not lowering obviously conscription age to Ukraine. So interesting news. We've also got some news coming from the Czech Republic, which apparently I forgot to add on the map. We've got news that the Druzhba oil pipeline has completely cut off, apparently, according to the Czech government. So an oil pipeline, well, a natural gas, an oil pipeline going through Russia, through Belarus, through Ukraine, that feeds Hungary, Slovakia, and the Czech Republic Russian oil, has apparently been cut off. So the Czech Minister of Industry and Trade explained the reasons for the sudden stop are unknown. So, and we've also got news that the Czech oil pipeline supply cut off is still turned off for the second day. So this is not a coincidence. It wasn't just turned off accidentally. It's now off for the second day. And again, we still have an unknown reason. This might be Ukraine doing this, turning off the oil supplies that goes through its territory that feeds Hungary and Slovakia and the Czech Republic with oil, Russian oil. So the Czech Republic has not been receiving Russian oil for the second day, and I'll continue to update you on that. We've got some news coming from London that King Charles III and the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, Keir Starmer, greet the Emir of Qatar at Buckingham Palace on a state visit. So King Charles III and Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, Keir Starmer, greets the Emir of Qatar at Buckingham Palace, which again, we haven't gotten the full result of their meeting yet. But now let's head to France, where we've gotten some very important news. We've just got news that the French Prime Minister has just submitted his resignation to Macron and will remain in office until a new Prime Minister is appointed. So Macron has accepted the Prime Minister of France's resignation. So the Prime Minister of France has resigned. So the Prime Minister of France government has been ousted after just 3 months, marking it the shortest lived in the history of the Fifth Republic and the first to fall through a no confidence vote since 1962. The leftist NFP alliance secured 331 votes, easily surpassing the 288 needed to oust the Prime Minister and government. So The Prime Minister has just been resigned in a non-confidence vote, so the government has kicked the Prime Minister of France out, and we are awaiting the new Prime Minister that is going to be chosen, which I will keep you updated with. We've got some news coming from Malta. The Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov has arrived in the country of Malta for the first annual meeting of the OSCE foreign ministers, as the Sputnik correspondent reported. So we've gotten the key statements that the Russian foreign minister made at the OSCE forum in Malta. So he stated that any initiatives for a peaceful settlement in Ukraine must address both security concerns and human rights issues. Fantasies about deploying foreign troops to Ukraine only worsen the situation. Their proponents ignore Putin's warning. A meeting in the capital city of Kazakhstan, Astana format on Syria is planned for this week. Lavrov also described Armenia's desire to leave CSTO as a sovereign decision, which we'll be talking about a little bit actually in the next point. Russia does not seek to attack anyone. It is the US that has attacked Russia through the Ukraine, he said, regime. And Hungary and Slovakia have shown interest in Russia's proposal for establishing a new security in Eurasia. So, interesting news. And now let's go to Armenia and let's pick up that topic of CSTO. So, the Armenian Prime Minister stated that Armenia no longer considers itself a CSTO member, with no return possible, says the Armenian Prime Minister. So, the Armenia considers itself outside CSTO and rejects return. So Armenia considers itself outside of CSTO. So first, if you don't know what CSTO is, it's a defensive military alliance, just like NATO, but CSTO it's full of old Soviet states. So obviously like Belarus, Russia, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, and it was Armenia, but now Armenia seems to be leaving the defense alliance. So I'll keep you updated on that if they actually officially leave. And now let's go to Syria. So we've gotten some major breaking news coming from Syria, and if you saw the last video, the map has changed a lot. So the Syrian rebels have made some incredible breakthroughs into Syria. So first, if we remember, the Syrian rebels first captured the Syrian city of Aleppo, if we remember, and now we've just gotten news that the Syrian rebels have reached, and even some sources are stating seized the Syrian city of Hamma. So if you can see, quite a large distance and a huge breakthrough. So it seems that this huge offensive has completely captured the Syrian National Army and the Russian aerospace forces completely by surprise. So this is very huge news. So if we can see this video here, we've just got to news, according to this video here, of the HTS Syrian rebels actually entered the Hamma military airbase. So that airbase is actually apparently right here. So we can see the Syrian National Army again left huge amount of equipment again and again and again. But we don't know if these jets are actually operational or not. I don't know what jets they are. They actually look like MiG-23s. But again, the Syrian army is evacuating, and it seems they don't actually. It seems that they forgot to evacuate their equipment as well. We've just gotten videos now that the Syrian National Army is now sending reinforcements, and it's been spotted on the roads on Homs. So this major Syrian city here. We've gotten some news, obviously, from this video that Syrian national reinforcements are now heading up to face the rebels after this huge breakthrough. We've also gotten some videos of the Russian aerospace forces. In this video here, we can see a Russian Su-25 attack aircraft delivering bombing rockets to fire at militants in the north of Hamma. So, very big news. So we've got some political news coming from Syria as well, that China is calling for all of its citizens in Syria to leave the country as soon as possible. And we've gotten some statistics coming from the Cradle that since this huge civil war has resumed last week, it's already apparently claimed the lives of nearly 3,000 militants. So 3,000 militants have already been killed since the assaults against Syria begun last week. And now let's head to the Central African Republic. So the Central African Republic has unveiled a statue in the capital city of the two Wagner leaders. So obviously here we can see Prigozhin, and the other Wagner leader of, I think, Yukin, has been unveiled in the capital city of the Central African Republic. So the two Wagner founders have been granted a statue in the capital city. I just thought to add that really quickly. And now let's head to India, where we're on news of an assassination attempt. So a gunman has tried to assassinate the prominent Indian politician at the Golden Temple in the Indian city of Amritsar. So the attacker fired at the former deputy chief minister of Punjab, at one of the holiest shrines of the Sikh religion on Wednesday. No injuries were reported. So a suspect was later identified as a 68-year-old, and he was apparently a former terrorist and a criminal. So he's been arrested, and his gun has been recovered. But there was an assassination attempt on an official in India of the former deputy chief minister of Punjab. So interesting news. So we've gotten some assassination attempts in India. We've gotten some more escalation in the South China Sea. So in the South China Sea, Chinese Coast Guard vessels fire water cannons to block Philippine patrol boats in disputed waters. So we can see here in the bottom left corner, we can see a Chinese ship ram into a Philippines patrol boat and fire water cannons that will probably go near the Chinese. I'm pretty sure the Chinese islands here. So the Chinese decided to fire water cannon waters at the patrol boat and even ram the patrol boat of the Philippines. So tensions in the South China Sea continue to rise. We've got some news coming from South Korea that the president of South Korea has accepted the resignation of the country's defense minister, according to Yonhap news agency. And we've also got news that South Korean protesters swarm outside the presidential office. So the president of South Korea is under increasing pressure after declaring martial law on Tuesday night over what he claimed was North Korea's sympathizing opposition figures blocking his policies, only to backtrack on Wednesday. So 6 opposition parties have submitted an impeachment motion to Parliament to remove the president of South Korea from office. So very big news coming from South Korea. And the next news we have received is coming from Cuba, that Cuba has plunged into darkness following a major power plant failure. So a major failure at Cuba's largest thermal plant in Matanes province has plunged much of the country into darkness. So the Energy Ministry reported the outage, which triggered the cancellation of work and classes until power is fully restored. The news portal attributes the blackout to the activation of the plant's safety system. So Cuba has plunged into darkness. There's a lot of there's huge major blackouts throughout Cuba, which I will keep you updated if when it gets restored. We've got some news coming from America. That's Bitcoin prices reaches an all-time high of 100,000 trading data. So the price of Bitcoin hit a new all-time record on Thursday, exceeding 100,000. Trading data shows. We've also gotten some news coming from New York. we've got some tragic news come from New York. So some footage has been released that's the Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson has just been shot from behind in New York. So the killer of the United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson inscribed "Deny, Defend, and Depose" on bullet casings. The shooter managed to escape. No clear motive yet. So if you actually want to see this, obviously I can't show you the footage here, but if you want to see some of this footage that I can't actually add in the videos, I have made a Telegram channel which you guys can join if you want to see some of the news which I post there, and and obviously some of the videos that I can't show on YouTube. And that's all the news I actually have for you today. I am Non-C News. I'll try and provide you news that medias around the world do not show you. I do these videos hopefully daily, so consider subscribing and liking. Sorry if I sound a bit down, it's 4 o'clock in the morning. I've been up for a lot, I've been working a lot, and been trying to fit these videos in as well my schedule. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all later. Bye.